Whether you are doing your correspondence on top of your car, at the beach, or from your office, you will be writing subject lines. Do you want to become a super subject line writer and get everyone to respond to your business correspondence? Listen and watch this tutorial. On a typical day at the university, I may get 35 emails in my Outlook, and that's nothing compared to what my supervisor gets. When I was working in the corporate world, my boss told me he would get over 200 emails a day that someone needed a response to. Oh, and let's not forget our personal email accounts that seem to fill up with more and more spam every day. Believe it or not, subject lines require careful thought and preparation on your part, especially if you, the writer, want to get a reply. What is a subject line? It is a concise phrase that announces your news or purpose of your email, memo, or letter. It describes the topic of your message. The rules for subject lines of emails, memos, and letters are the same. To become a super subject line writer, here are some do's and don'ts. Let's begin with the don'ts. First, don't ever leave a subject line blank. If you do this in an email, it may be picked up by a spam filter or more than likely deleted by your intended reader. Number two, don't write vague subject lines. When writing emails to your friends, it may be okay to write "Hi" as your subject line. However, your work and college emails to your profs require more specificity. Let's look at some vague subject lines that I received in my recent inbox and fix them. Here's a good one. If you can help me. Yikes! This was an email from a student who wanted to get into one of my professional writing sections that was full. Vague subject line. I almost deleted it thinking it was spam. Let's fix it. Request to enroll in your ENC 3250 CRN 5033 course. Now, that's better. The purpose is clear to me now. It's a request to get into a specific section of the professional writing class that I'm teaching. Here's another one. Subject line, diversity. The purpose of the writer's email was to have me look at a blog by an American woman who had moved to her husband's native Saudi Arabia. Let's revise this to read, interesting blog by American woman living in Saudi Arabia. Number three, don't respond to someone's email with the same subject line if you're changing the topic of your reply message. Here's an example. The original subject line was colleagues' classroom blog address for Styles and Ways class. The reader hit reply using the same subject line but writes a new email about how much she enjoyed Sheila's lesson presentation and proceeds to give an evaluation of that lesson. Subject lines that don't have anything to do with the topic can waste everyone's time when they keep getting recycled in replies and forwards. Do your reader a favor by taking a minute to rewrite subject lines that do not reflect the topic of the message. Okay, are you ready for the do's now? Number one, write subject headings that look like newspaper headlines. Just like a newspaper headline gives a precise idea of what the article is about, your subject line will give the reader an idea of the topic of your email, memo, or letter. 2. Capitalize the first letter of each word in the subject line, except for conjunctions and prepositions shorter than 4 letters, and don't put any punctuation after it. Conjunctions are words like for, and, but, yet, so, or. Examples of prepositions that are 3 letters or fewer are to, on, in, of, by. Which of these 4 subject lines is correctly written? A is not correct because the writer capitalized the F in for, and for is a conjunction. B is not correct because the W in woman should be capitalized as well as the F in from, because from is a preposition of more than 3 letters. C is not correct because the C in course, the T in taught, and the Y in your should be capitalized. Also, there should be no period after a subject heading. 3. Write your subject heading after you write your first paragraph, which will state your news or purpose. Extract those key words from your purpose statement in your first paragraph and put them up there in your subject line. In the process, you might discover that your first paragraph does not state your news or purpose, in which case you'll have to rewrite that first paragraph, putting the news first. Let's take a look at this memo and highlight the key words. company name and logo, and the word propose. With these key words, we can come up with a phrase for our subject line. It could read, company name and logo proposal. If the writer used the word suggest or recommend, then the subject heading might read, company name and logo suggestion, or company name and logo recommendation. The only thing you have to remember in delaying writing your subject heading till after your news paragraph is that you might forget to include the subject heading. And then we're back to our first don't about subject headings. Be careful and don't hit the send too quickly. When you follow these important do's and don'ts, you will save time and maybe money in lost productivity. Follow these tips and claim that title of Super Subject Line Writer.